I think our gospel parable today about the rich man and Lazarus is one of the reasons why the Catholic Church came up with the concept of purgatory. But what spoils our reading of this parable is our present-day notion of heaven and hell, with the concept of heaven as an eternal reward and hell as an eternal punishment in the afterlife. The story does not say Lazarus was being rewarded for good deeds and the rich man was being punished for evil deeds. Hindi niya sinasabi yon. It simply says Lazarus was taken up by the angels to the bosom of Abraham, where he was comforted. And the rich man found himself in a state of torment. But take note, even if the story says there was a deep chasm or abyss, isang malalim na bangin, between where Lazarus was enjoying comfort and where the rich man was suffering in torment, they did not seem to be very far from each other. In fact, the writer says the rich man could see Abraham from where he was, and he could in fact communicate with him. Kung nakikita siya, at naririnig siya, ibig sabihin, hindi sila malayo. This is a good description of being so close and yet so far. Actually, it was already like that habang buhay pa sila sa lupa. While they were still alive on earth, Lazarus was just there by the rich man's door all the time. He was so close and yet so far. Far away from the rich man's attention. The storyteller rubs it in by saying that the poor Lazarus would gladly have eaten his fill of the scraps that fell from the man's table, the rich man's table. Alas, the dogs were more sensitive of his presence than the rich man was. Mabuti pa yung aso, hinihimod si Lazarus. They came to lick his wounds. The rich man did not even seem to notice him. That is how it is in the real world, unfortunately. The poor are somehow made invisible. Hindi nakikita. They suffer silently, even if they are just by the wayside, sa mga tabi-tabi, by the fringes of society. They're trying to make a living along the margins of societies. I remember many years ago when the wife of a dictator built a decorative wall in order to cover the ugly shanties of the urban poor in the slum areas. Nagtayo ng pader so that they would not be seen by the delegates who were coming for a big-time international economic summit. That is the typical bad habit of many government leaders of third world countries who always want to give a better impression to the developed countries by hiding the poor. They would rather be called developing countries than third world countries. And they feel offended when journalists would call a spade a spade. So why do I think that this parable is not just a story of eternal reward and punishment? Well, because something good is actually happening on the side of the rich man who is in a state of torments. Now, he can also hear, he can also see what is at the other side of the chasm. Yung dating hindi niya naririnig at nakikita, what he could not see or hear or feel before, now he could. Now he can see Lazarus, whom he never even noticed in his earthly lifetime. This is not a story of punishment. The rich man is not in torment just because he did something bad or he's being punished. Tinuturuan lang siya. His state of torment is now enabling him to see. It is enabling him to hear and to feel unlike before. Hindi ba positive yon? Sometimes, we also need to suffer in order to realize what other people are going through, what they have to put up with, not once in a while, but almost all the time. Pag maginhawang buhay natin, minsan nakala natin lahat ng tao maginhawa. And please take note, from his state of torment, he is now also learning to care about people other than himself. Now, he is also thinking of his 5 brothers. May 5 pa siyang kapatid. Kaya sabi kay Abraham, kung hindi po pwede na pabalikin si Lazarus, ang sabi niya, o papuntahin dito, i-warn na lang ninyo. Bigyan nyo na lang ng babala ang mga kapatid kong 5 pa. He does not want them to experience the torment that he is going through. Lastly, he cries out to Abraham and is actually heard. At least, may nakinig sa kanya. He addresses Abraham and he calls him, "My father." And Abraham answers him and calls him, "My child," anak ko. And what Abraham is trying to point out to him is simply this, if I may paraphrase his words. My child, this Lazarus whom I am now comforting in my company, who has suffered unnoticed by you all his life, he is also my child. Anak ko din siya. Ibig sabihin, kung anak ko kayong pareho, magkapatid kayo. He is your brother. I hope you see now why I say the rich man's torment in the parable is not really just meant as a punishment. It is a purgatory. And purgatory is part of the process of redemption. It is an opportunity to be sensitized, to grow and to mature, to outgrow callousness and develop sensitivity, to outgrow mindlessness and to develop mindfulness, to outgrow indifference and to develop compassion. And this, I think, is the intention of the storyteller in narrating this parable. The storyteller, by the way, is Jesus himself. Tama si Abraham. Nobody could cross over from his side to where the rich man was. Wala pa. The storyteller himself would be the very first one to do that. The Son of God, who descended into hell in order to redeem those who make a hell out of their lives on earth. Siya lang ang pwedeng tumawid at bumaba in order to help the tormented souls to be able to cross over. He is the one who will lay himself down like a bridge over troubled waters. He allows people to suffer torment so that they will also learn to see, so that they will learn to feel the miseries and the pains of other people. Bakit? Kasi kapatid mo rin sila. They are also your brothers and sisters. Kasi mga anak din sila ni Abraham. They are also children of Abraham.